Yeah, yeah, got a bit of an inauguration going on. So if you hear any noise up there, then don't worry about it. Welcome to Sea Monster Live number 28, I believe. That's what this is. Can't wait to talk about the Man movie. Yeah, Vic. All right, so I've sent the StreamYard link to the Discord. Yeah, just kind of chilling out. Yeah, this is going to be kind of a hey Minecraft world. Yeah, didn't mean for this to be a late one, but yeah, it's kind of like the best time that I've been able to slot in because I'm going to be busy for the next week. Oh, we got Cup 2 guests here. Got the Zim and Zavik.
Yo.
I have not seen this movie. I've only seen recaps and a lot of footage that was not relevant to those recaps. And this movie looks like actual garbage. I will vigorously look for the full film somewhere pirated, so I can furiously degrade this film further. I'm not going to be on for just long. I really just wanted to say that. Like this film looks like actual garbage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, given since I've never seen the movie in bootleg form, I can't really, wish I would. I can't really agree on that, but I mean,
I'll turn your mind around for like another stream when I have watched it. It would be like the Invisible Man stream all over again.
I will say this one probably will be a little. You might have a little easier time than with Invisible Man, because just kind of give a quick thoughts here. I thought the movie was just kind of fine, pretty much, but as far as like this writing in general, but like the writing is not. I could definitely see this thing not holding up to scrutiny all that well in the writing department.
Good.
As for me, I will say that I liked it. I would say all in all, on its own, I liked it.
I didn't hate
thought
it.
It was pretty good. My only real gripe with it is like I've been saying, I do not like the design of the Wolfmen.
Right. Yeah. We'll go a bit more into that. Let me get. Oh, what the heck? Hold on. Okay. We got the fourth one here. Potato Bird.
What's good? Well, what are we discussing this time?
Wolfman.
The new one.
Mm-hmm.
The new what?
The new Wolfman.
Oh, I never watched it.
Yeah, I literally just came on just to trash on it for that one moment. Because I'm going to bounce out because I'm going to be working on a Monsterverse script in the meantime.
Okay.
So, that is it. Tally ho. I hate this movie from what I have seen of it. I hate the story. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there it is. Take care, man.
Peace.
And we got another guest coming on. We got Koshi0071, aka Antonio. How you doing? We lost Antonio.
I didn't hear him if he said anything.
It looked like he muted and then he came back on, and then there was like that sound came up, and then just yeah. So I guess mic issues again. I don't know. We'll who knows what's going on. I pretty much would have done this stream like earlier, but in an earlier time, but scheduling just won't allow it. So I figured like, okay, people were probably expecting something or another stream related on this new Wolfman movie as soon as I see it. So, and yeah, and I'm gonna be busy.
So what does it look like?
He's not as hairy as the other Wolfman. Let's just say. In fact, if
Can you,
anything,
can you get an image?
no,
Do you
there is
remember
actually
the Halloween Horror Nights costume that went around?
well, that's actually a different Wolfman. It's not well. There's let's just say there's multiple Wolfmen in this movie.
Yeah, but funny enough, that guy wasn't in the movie. Or at least not
Well,
as themed exactly.
I mean, it is. It's supposed to be, but yeah, I mean, kind of looking at the final film here, what we got. I definitely, it kind of confirmed my suspicion that maybe that costume for the Universal Halloween Horror Nights thing just didn't translate that design all that well. It wasn't really a good
Yeah.
translation from screen to merch.
Yeah, because from the moment I saw it, I pretty much knew that I knew like this was like just like one step up from like a Spirit Halloween costume, which is typical for like horror nights, which I go to like almost every year. So I knew it
Yeah.
wasn't gonna be like 100% screen accurate, but I was kind of surprised that how inaccurate it was for what the costume was, because both of the Wolfman in this film um look pretty different to what we see in the Horror Nights costume.
A little bit. I mean, maybe because like I've only seen this movie once, and I probably would have to get a better look at the one design that this costume may be based on. Just to get a better feel, because I like. All right, let's get Antonio here. Get him on. All right, how you doing, Antonio? Hello, we can.
Hold on, I'm trying to look up that design, but my search engine is deciding to be a slut. Decided no, I'm not going to search up what you want. Okay,
Yeah.
I got at least some screenshots from it at least.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is a clip on YouTube that shows like the transformation for essentially one of the let's say one of the
Let's see if that's still
Wolfmen.
up there.
No, it was uploaded by Universal's YouTube channel, so they would definitely. So it's there. Yeah, and yeah, I guess we'll kind of get into some bit of a discussion with it with this film. So I guess we'll not sure where to, so where do we try to figure out where to start with it.
Well, first off, Potato, do you not care for spoilers or anything? Because both
No, I'm
Sea
probably not
Monster
going to watch
and
this
I
movie.
have watched it. Okay, then I guess we'll just start from like the beginning of the plot and stuff.
I'm watching the clip. Dundee.
Okay. All right. So are we waiting until the clip is done, or?
Yeah, I'm done with it.
Oh, okay.
Well,
yeah. So
I guess I should start since, like, as someone who has not watched it at all, it's probably at least have some different commentary compared to you two. Since I never watched any of the Wolfman movies, I've seen clips in here and there from werewolf movies and stuff, but like, I think the first thing that came to mind is the general low effortness of it, at least from the clip I'm seeing. There's no real emphasis on like the body horror or the intensity of your mind warping into a feral animal or any of that stuff. It feels very bare minimum esque, like good enough.
well, I mean, the point of it is like of this movie is kind of like a slow. It's kind of like showing the metamorphosis. Like they're going a different approach with the Wolfman sort of concept than what we typically see, where like a guy turns into a Wolfman on a full night of a full moon, and it's kind of like instantaneous. Here, or not, if not instantaneous, then like it kind of happens in a matter of minutes. Whereas with this movie, it's a more gradual, like sort of.
Oh, so like a descent, like a descent into madness type of thing.
Yeah,
kind of.
because I would agree with what you said, Potato, about like being low effort stuff with regards to like the transformation scene. Because as I said, I don't like the design because it feels like an above, like more hairier man than a wolf man. But I did like the movie to. It's like a slow burn of a transformation. Um, because like throughout the movie you see how his senses change and his behavior as well, which I really liked about the movie. I thought that was a pretty cool premise.
Yeah.
I would like it better if the end result was just like better.
Right. I would even say, honestly, the end result, like, if they just like added more hair to his design,
Hmm.
like, just like like it would have been better. And it's not to say that the film didn't like it's not like you don't get like any body horror. It's like it's just with the transformation. It's just that it's a lot more spread out throughout the film's runtime, as opposed to as opposed to what we see in something like American Werewolf in London, or heck, like the other Wolfman versions, where you just like boom, here's the full on transformation. Like the one clip there, it's pretty much like the most that we would get, will get of that particular, of seeing this particular version of the Wolfman transformation. And yeah, it's ultimately like it was fine, pretty much. It's just kind of like like it's not really pushing the envelope or anything. Um, all things considered.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Like
it's sort of
like the most.
like a
Sorry.
like a zombie trope, when you get bitten by the zombie and then you get the fever and then you start to get sick and vomit and then you finally turn into a zombie. I thought that was a cool spin on it.
Right. Like pretty much like the most that we get in terms of like there's something that would kind of stick out from most Wolfman versions, well, all Wolfman versions. Yeah, we're trying. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna try. Yeah, Antonio, that's okay. I'm gonna try. Yeah, next stream won't be. It won't be midnight. The next stream definitely will not be. Will be much more convenient for yeah, it. Yeah, probably like because apparently it's like midnight or so where he's at. So
Oh dang.
yeah, yeah, but anywho, yeah, the next time will be better. That's for sure. Um, but yeah, like the most that we get, that I would say that was kind of like ugh, kind of in terms of like a body horror type of thing, in terms of the transformation, is when he when he just kind of like has to grab his lower jaw and adjust it to kind of fit with his new form. That's probably the most that sticks out to me, which is like, oh damn.
Yeah. I would say the one other part I really liked is when he starts gnawing at his arm.
Yeah, that one.
Because
Gross.
I've seen my dogs and other dogs do that whenever they have like a wound or like irritated skin, they'll just gnaw at it and stuff. So I
Yeah,
thought that was pretty cool.
that was pretty gruesome. Oh, so we got Lau here.
Hi.
Hey.
So I just got in because fun fact about me, I actually love werewolves. So I did watch a lot of movies that also do the slow burn transformation, and I basically spoiled myself on the entirety of this movie. But I just want to be honest, I haven't watched it. But like I can compare some of the things I've heard with some other movies, like slow burn transformation movies for werewolves. I watched like a couple of those that are really good. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the comparisons to David Cronenberg's The Fly with this film, and that's actually pretty apt, all things considered, because someone's slowly, steadily transforming into a monster. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I promise. Not as good as The Fly. Let's just. I will say, definitely not.
Yeah. I mean, the actor is just like, what was his name? The Jurassic Park guy. Like he just makes
Jeff
it.
Goldblum.
10, Goldblum just makes it like 10 times, 10 times better. Yeah,
Well, that and the storytelling in The Fly, is just downright excellent.
and the
You know.
effect, like those are fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I guess we kind of start because So there's gonna be spoilers for this movie. So I guess so there's the warning right there. So I guess we'll start with the opening scene of the film, which the very first like shot of the movie, it like kind of does the whole thing of like kind of like what that very first teaser did, except they showed us a different moment from what that teaser showed, because the first teaser for this Wolfman film showed like a mantis like attack a hornet, whereas in this final film it's it's a swarm of ants attacking a hornet. So I'm
Oh
trying to
yeah.
yeah, so I'm trying to figure like what the thematic significance of that would be. Um,
Mm.
so that's kind of curious.
Probably it's just like about like a pack of werewolves. But that's the thing. For what I understand in this movie, you don't have more than like three, right? Like there's the plot.
Yeah.
The dad is a werewolf. It's always the dad in werewolf movies, but okay. And then
Right.
there's like the
Yeah.
guy on the road that might have been the dad or might have been someone completely different. But yeah.
Actually, like it's pretty much confirmed that in this movie we see three werewolves. There's pretty much like there's the one that there's the main guy who's slowly turning into we see slowly turn into a wolf man. There's the wolf man that attacked him, that infected him more or less. But in the opening of there goes Potato Bird. But the opening scene is is like a flashback to basically our main character Blake. Um, when he was a boy, and him and his dad are hunting, and Blake has like and his dad have like a little run in with a wolf man. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah. So I guess what kind of and this scene kind of is meant to sort of pretty much set the stage for what this movie is ultimately tries to be about, more or less, which is about, I mean,
Yeah.
in terms of, which is like, like how like being protective of those you care about could potentially, like, being overprotective could of those you care about could push you to into like somewhat alienating your family and or your love or people
Mm-hmm.
you care about, to the point where you become the very thing that you're trying to protect them from. Um,
Yeah.
that's kind of what we got going
Yeah.
on.
Which I
Um,
honestly think is pretty interesting. And I like how the opening sets all that up. I thought it was pretty cool for what it
um,
was.
I kind of took. I mean, here's the thing. I pretty much would have liked it, but the thing, but I will be honest. Like, in the context of this, like, yeah, I mean, I can understand the depth. Like, yeah, the dad was probably a bit too aggressive with just being like, "Yo, son, what are you doing?" But really, they're out in the middle of the woods, and and it is dangerous. Like something could suddenly pop up and kill them. It wouldn't even necessarily be a wolf man. It could just be a bear or a mountain lion or something like that. Like, out in nature, like, you could get killed in an instant. And he even says like, "Yo, son, what did I like? What did I tell you about what those mushrooms are called?" Like, like, in this particular context, like, like, yeah, I mean, like, maybe like the wording is a bit harsh. Maybe he was a little bit too harsh, but not like to an unreasonable. But it's not like that unreasonable. Given where they're at.
So there's one thing that I think someone described very well when they were talking to me about the movie, which is it feels like someone that doesn't really struggle too much will have written, in the sense that, like, this family is like super rich, like the kid is more like she's like, what, 10 years old, but she feels like she was written to be younger. The problems with the father weren't like really deep. Like the concept was really good, honestly, like it's unique, but there wasn't enough experience or knowledge from the writer at some points, it seems, to execute it in a way that's believable.
Right. Like the thing is, like the film's trying to like sell this thematic core, if you will, but it's almost like it's trying to. But the first like 15 minutes of this movie, not just the flashback, but also like the time that we spend with this family before they move. Um, it's like they're trying to fast track that thematic chord to get just to be like, okay, see guys, this is what this movie's going to be about. Like like the later on where um, Blake, who's all grown up, like he's walking his daughter through the street, and then she like walks on those barriers. He tells her to get down like a couple times, and then like she nearly falls off or what have you, and like like she stumbles onto a homeless guy and or just go be like yo or something like that, and Blake's like yo back up, pal. And he kind of and Blake understandably is all like what is like Ginger, don't do that, like like you could have gotten killed, got hit by a car pretty much, like I told you. So and again, like it's kind of one of those things where I get what you're trying to say, movie, but this is like, you're trying way too hard here. Like you're kind of having to the point where it's like you got to come up with like some scenarios that are a little that are pretty much less extreme than this, like than like a son like just walking off into the middle of the woods by himself to try to catch a deer without his dad being with him, so that the dad could just like catch up with him and just be like, I told you not to separate from me, especially because of nature, or a girl like not listening to her dad about not standing on on those like little street barriers.
And then the dad
Yeah, I would say that's fair.
even says it straight up, like, why am I here to protect you? Like, he makes it's too obvious. Maybe it's a little bit performative and it feels kind of forced and a little bit fake, like
Well,
for the more than for the characters.
I mean, I guess, but it's like I don't know, like it the way it just kind of comes off. It's like a bit it's a bit clunky how this film try to like let us know what it's about, really.
I would say in some sense it might be. I still thought it was a pretty effective way to sort of link like all of the thematic through lines of the film. I would say I still think it does a pretty good job with how it shows that the way the parents respond to their kids being like having risky behavior. Um, because I think there are certain ways to go about teaching them like how to learn from experiences like those. Um, like I think the way the dad handles it is better, or Blake, the main one, handles it better than how his dad
Yeah,
um like told him off or like tried to teach him like what to do. I think it's
yeah,
valid that you have to teach kids like how to be safe and know like right from wrong. um I think it does an
yeah,
okay job. There are some scenes where they could have done better with it, I feel is a fair thing to say. um as for the kid behaving or how she behaves, I think it's believable. even for a 10-year-old, because like my brother's like 8 right now. Or I think well, yeah, around that age. But he acts like no different. My cousin, who's like 14 right now, they act like pretty similar to her. So I'd say it's like, I don't know, I say it's believable to ever act
No,
that way.
oh, I'm not saying it's unbelievable. It's just that it's just that it's like I could like I can't help but sort of see like the strings, in terms of like being pulled, in terms of like what the film is trying to be about. Like it's kind of showing its hand like too early, and it's kind of like expecting it's trying way too hard to try to tell us like what theme it is, because once the film, because as opposed to like weaving it more naturally throughout the story, because once we leave the city pretty much, and once we go into the woods essentially, with and have the Wolfman stuff, there isn't going to be as much there isn't going to be as much like elaboration on the thematics beyond that. um
Would you say it's like too on the nose too soon?
it's kind of, yeah, a little bit. Like, and now here's the thing. I would say, like, yeah, Blake is kind of trying to not be like his father, like trying his hardest to not be like him, but there is like still some of those like tendencies that he did get, pretty much. I mean, like, but even then, it's like, like he was being like, there's also like the fact that when he is in the kitchen. He's like cooking dinner, pretty much. His wife comes home. She's on the phone, and he's like politely like asking her, "Hey, honey, can you take that elsewhere?" Pretty much. He does it twice, and and she's all like, she's still going, and then she's like, oh, she hangs up, and she's like, you didn't have to do that. It's like he was like he was being
Yeah.
polite about it. Like what? I
Yeah,
don't.
I was pretty puzzled by that too, because I feel he was more in the right in that
Yeah.
sense, where she probably could have taken it elsewhere. Like I doubt
Yeah.
like her boss, I guess her editor or something, even acknowledged it at all, because like I don't know. I also feel like it's a etiquette thing. Like don't bring those conversations to the table before you eat or anything.
Yeah,
You know.
and it's weird that the film even just kind of like still tries to paint it as if Blake was like in the wrong, when it's like no, he was completely understandable. Like,
Yeah. Plus, like it's also him being distraught from just learning that his father was like declared dead and stuff.
that comes like after that little phone
Yeah,
call
but I think
dinner thing.
he read the letter before she came in, or like when she
No,
comes
no,
in. I think that's when
no.
he read it.
She didn't come. No, he read it. No, he read it after she came in, because she brought the mail in
Yeah.
when she was on the phone.
Yeah, I think so. But
Yeah,
I think it was like I think he read it like, and then just after that he was like asking her to take it elsewhere or something, or
yeah, or something like that. Yeah,
something like that. But either way, I think he was still more in the right in
yeah,
that
he was.
situation.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. Um, so I guess the next scene we could is, I guess, like when he, like after he reads the letter, we cut to like the next day. I believe,
Hmm.
and he, and he's like sitting outside his wife Charlotte's workplace, his wife's, and he's, like, hey, you want some lunch here? And they sit down and they have a little chat, and talk about how he wants to kind of like, have them like, go up to his dad's old place, and he's like, because he's kind of like, he pretty much realizes that he's, he wants to like, stay be with his family much more, because the time that he has with them is really precious, because he he was kind of distant from his father because of the relationship that they had. But and now that he's gone or declared dead, he pretty much now feels like he should have talked to him more, and so now he wants to like make up for that somewhat.
Yeah. Plus, with him sort of having a rocky relationship with Charlotte, I guess he
Yeah,
just wants to not lose that chance with them, which I thought was
yeah,
pretty good setup for
yeah.
that.
I mean, this scene right, that was a that it's a good scene. Um,
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Yeah,
the
and
fact that,
referring back to the earlier scene at the dinner table, I thought it was pretty good. The way he describes it, like I didn't want to talk to him before he was like missing, but now that I know he's gone, now I do want to talk to him. I thought that was pretty good line. Pretty
yeah,
interesting way to look at it.
yeah, and Christopher Abbott, does pretty well actually. Kind of a kind of like selling the sadness a little bit, but in a way that's not soap opera overt, really. Like you get it. um,
Yeah.
yeah, and so and then we kind of following up. We get to they're on the road to the dad's place. Um, they're on their way. But then they notice that the gate, to the place, is closed off, and he calls for a guy nearby who's like in a watchtower, basically, who's like a neighbor, Derek, who I think he says he's the son of the guy whom Blake's dad was talking with on the radio early in the beginning of the
Yeah.
film about the I saw a wolf. It's real.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Derek's all like, yeah, we closed this off because it's not safe out here. Um, and so if you still want to go in, I'll gladly help you. I'll let happen.
Yeah.
Which I mean, the wife kind of has like a fairly understandable reaction where she's all like, it's like, honey, no. It's like, honey, really? Because like the guy's like a stranger to all of them, really. I mean, it's like, oh,
Yeah,
so
I sort of wish there was a bit more of a connection with Derek and Blake, since the only connection is like the father mentioning the guy's son, because
yeah,
I think there's like a lot like, don't you want to protect your boy too and stuff, and I guess
yeah, something like that. Like they could have at least had
yeah,
some kind of planting of a seed there, where hey, these two were childhood friends, pretty much.
yeah, like if we at least like maybe it would have made the flashback longer or something, but maybe something more to just have that connection that, because I think Blake like barely even like remembers anything, which I think is like pretty obvious from the way he acts and stuff. Um,
Hmm. Yeah,
but yeah, and then like there's the ride that they take on the way to where
yeah.
Derek's talking about how good he has it with his family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like I couldn't help but notice that like they were kind of driving the truck really slow, actually fairly slow, because they're driving a route in the middle of the woods, basically.
Hmm.
Because trees everywhere. They're gonna you're gonna bumpy roads. You don't want to go that fast. Um, which is kind of fascinating when suddenly when they do see a wolfman on the road, or who they think is a person on the road or something. It's like he suddenly just like goes hits the acceleration pedal and they just swerve into the trees. But it's like you could have pressed the brake. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna harp on it a whole heck of a lot much, because like it's like, well, I mean, it's like an instinctual sort of reaction, if you will. You're not like, it just happens suddenly, and I can, like, who knows what a person would do in something like that just suddenly happens and they just end up in a high pressure. I could, understandable. I mean, I won't harp on that too much. But yeah, then they crash the truck, and it ends up kind of sideways, um, hanging over.
Mhm.
I believe, like, like the back the back of the truck is like on like a cliff, so that our family could pretty much like cross on the side of the truck, and kind of eventually get to the house. And the front is over the edge. So there's like a drop.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it's also like the like where the big engine is, like at the front of the truck. I think it's like perched on the tree, because there's also like, I think you can see where like part of the top of the tree fell over, where the trunk was basically like cracked and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, but the whole
Um,
front of the truck is like elevated.
yeah.
And then Derek opens the door and he falls,
Yeah.
which was
Yeah.
pretty funny. I don't know why he
Yeah.
did that exactly.
I mean, best faith you could say was that the crash like disoriented him enough to where he wasn't thinking all that straight. But even then,
Mm,
it's a bit shaky. Even that's a little shaky. Um, maybe. But yeah, he falls
yeah.
down, and then he gets killed by a wolf man.
Yeah, but not before Blake is scratched by the wolf man.
Yeah, which I mean, like, so yeah, so I mean, but yeah, obviously before that, Charlotte and Ginger, they get out the truck, and Blake's trying to get out, and then he sees this creature coming up from there, and so he tries to open the door, tries to reach no, not open the door, to close the door, and then and that's what causes him to get, when he shuts it, then the Wolfman like scratches him.
Yeah.
Which, if you clearly see something coming up there, why would you even waste any time to try to shut the door? Wouldn't the first thing you would do would just be, I don't know, like, get to your wife and kid like as quickly as possible while this thing is like looking to be approaching the other way? I don't know, the more I think about that, the more of just like, and this is like a crucial moment in the movie because that's how he gets infected. So, like, and
Yeah.
how they did it, it just like it would not, it just didn't make sense to me why he would do that, other than because we got to have the plot go. We have to have him get attacked by the werewolf man so that he gets infected.
Yeah. Cuz I think at that point Derek is still on the ground. I think his family is like on the side of the truck now. And I honestly couldn't see clearly what was going on in the theater. But I think he saw it in like one of the rear view mirrors or something or
Yeah,
other.
yeah, side
I
view mirror.
forget when he notices it. If it was before or after he closed the door.
Yeah,
Um,
he sees it through the side view mirror because it's through that side view mirror because otherwise he pretty much wouldn't even have just he probably would have just tried to get out there, or like
yeah.
he wouldn't really been able to see the Wolfman there, and we wouldn't have this intense moment. Like, honestly, I
Hmm.
think there probably would have been like, you probably could have written some way to where he could have still gotten scratched, you know, without him doing some, while he's doing something that isn't kind of like, what, bruh, for real.
I guess so. But from there, they run through the woods after
Yeah,
Derek is taken.
yeah, they narrowly escape, and they lock the house down. Um,
Yeah, they make it to the house, and then they catch another glimpse of the Wolfman as he's chasing them through the field.
Yeah. But yeah, and then they lock the house down, and they're just they're hauled themselves up. Um, I will say, like, if the Wolfman pretty much didn't have much issue like going through like a windshield and all that, like, couldn't he just like go through one of the windows in the house? 'Cause it's not like they board them up, or I mean, maybe
I was
some of
thinking
them.
that, but I think I did notice because I did question that in the film. Honestly, I was questioning how he couldn't get through the door, since I think both of the doors, the front and back, are gated off. Um,
Yeah,
but I think
yeah,
I think they didn't close the gate door when they
no.
first ran in. But I think also the windows do have the like the bars on them.
I
There are a
mean,
few
maybe. I
shots
mean,
outside from the house where you can't see it. They do have bars on them.
I can,
Which I
I can
did
recall.
notice.
I can recall that some have bars on them, but uh, I probably have to look it over again just to see like if they all would, pretty much. But I'm pretty sure. I mean, I
Sure,
know
yeah.
that some would, but I don't know if others do as well. But yeah, he didn't close the gates, the outside portion of the front door. He only closed the inside one, which isn't before the Wolfman shows up and tries getting in. Which isn't that why the gates section is there? I mean, granted, it was very I mean, like there was like a high level urgency thing going on. Like they had to
Yeah.
shut the thing as quickly as possible. But yeah, it would have been yeah.
Uh,
Oh, there goes Lau. Um, so
yeah.
yeah. So what's next after that?
I think from there they sort of just put Ginger, or try to calm Ginger down and
Yeah,
stuff, and get their bearings.
yeah, and there's like like they have a Blake is all like, hey, it's my job to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I'm your dad, love you. But she does the thing where she reads his mind, kind of, and she says like that you love me, that you love your daughter very
Yeah.
much, and he's all, yeah. I mean, you get, it's like this little, nice little moment, which becomes
Yeah.
all the more tragic as the story progresses. Um, and then he has a talk with his wife, pretty much, or something like that, while he's putting like the bookcase or something like that up against the door to block it off. Which
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of which not the a pretty fairly intelligent thing to do. Fair,
Yeah.
like yeah, you might want to block that off as much as you possibly can. Um, and then and then they and obviously since they don't have service out there, which I mean, if you pretty much have watched a lot of horror movies, mainly slasher movies, that does kind of sound like a bit of a cliche, like, oh, there's no service out here. But I mean, it's like, all right, fair enough. But yeah, and
Yeah.
then we're like, all right, we got to go down there. There's like a radio. My dad had an old radio set. Let's go get that going and try to see if we can reach anyone. And he tries to do that. Um, and I guess that's kind of right after that is when he starts to check up on his on the scratch that he has.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so she patches him up, you know. So yeah, then that's kind of going on.
Yeah. Was that before or after his tooth falls out when he finds the jerky?
Oh yeah, I think that's. Oh yeah, the jerky comes. Actually, the jerky comes before that. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
he bites it. He checks the meat locker and there's like rotting meat there, but he finds like an old piece of jerky, which I mean you find that in there. Why the fuck would you even even consider like biting into that. Like you don't know where it's been. You don't know how long it's been sitting in there. Like I don't. That was bizarre.
Yeah.
But I guess we gotta have.
Unless because I guess it sort of insinuates that that's when he's starting to become like feral. Because like first he notices the smell, which I guess Charlotte didn't notice. Like it's hints of him starting to become the Wolfman. I
I
feel
mean,
is what
yeah,
that was supposed to show.
yeah. I mean, and honestly, I think a better way for that would have been like if I guess him like biting into the jerky was like maybe like a hint, a somewhat subtle-ish hint of him starting to get those the Wolfman tendencies of like I'll just eat anything sort of
Yeah.
thing. But even then, like it's a little weird. But yeah, he bites into it, loses some teeth. And he's like, oh shit. Then they check the wound, patch it up, and yeah, we just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
from there he starts to still try to calm them down.
yeah,
And then he starts to put extra boards on the shelf that he put on the door.
yeah, he tries to like hammer it down, tries to Night of Living Dead, to do like a Night of Living Dead up in there, try to board the house up. And he
Yeah.
kind of hurts himself when he puts a nail in. Um, there you go. And I guess like what happens after that, I guess is the when he starts here is the part where he starts hearing the spider like right after that, or
Yeah, I think so. I would say there's probably one or two scenes with Ginger or Charlotte, and then I think they either fall asleep
oh
or
yeah,
I know there's one
yeah.
scene where the Wolfman comes back and then they go into the kitchen where the back door is and the Wolfman grabs his leg through the doggy door.
That comes much later actually.
Is that much later? Was it
Yeah,
before or after the spider scene?
it's after. It was definitely after.
Okay. But yeah, then that's
Yeah,
probably when the spider scene happens then definitely.
yeah,
Yeah. Which
yeah.
I thought
Kind
was
of.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a. Yeah, it's pretty much the first instance of Wolfo vision, I guess you could say, where we go into his
Yeah.
perspective. Um, yeah, he kind of so he goes upstairs, hears the weird noises that sound like they're some footsteps. Goes into a bedroom, he opens a closet, big ass spider making all that noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a huntsman spider, I believe, or something like that.
Probably those guys are pretty big and
Yeah,
scary.
I mean, like looking at that thing, it's like like I don't know if you necessarily need Wolfo vision for that. I mean, like, because who knows that thing? That's probably just the sound of its footsteps in general.
Yeah, because I think I honestly the whole scene I was able to sort of predict like oh he's probably like listening to like a rat or something because at first I thought oh is he hearing like the wolf man trying to break in through the roof or something and
Hmm.
then I realized oh what if he's just like this is when his hearing is starting to become better and it's just like a rat or something
Yeah,
but no, it turns out it's like just pretty decently sized spider, and you're hearing the footsteps of each of its legs, which I
yeah,
thought was pretty cool for what it is.
yeah, yeah. And he kind of and there's like a whole thing where his body starts being a little herky jerky,
Yeah,
because the metamorphosis is starting to set in, pretty much. Um,
yeah. Cause
and,
was it then after that where he hears his wife downstairs, like trying to
um,
get someone on the radio?
uh, I'm trying to recall because like his wife and because like the wife and daughter were sleeping when he hears the spider, so like there would have to be like something that happens right after the spider. I think it might. I think that might be when the Wolfman is like skulking around the porch.
Yeah,
That's when
something like that.
because the wife and daughter wake up, when they hear when something's outside. So I
Oh
think
yeah,
that
because
might be it.
I think after that is when he like knocks out. And then it fades to black, and then he wakes up again, and he's
Yeah,
starting to have like that sensory change to where he
yeah,
starts to like not be able to understand his wife.
like the Wolfman grabs his leg, and I guess cuts him up, through the doggy door, pretty much. So, and then wife pretty much saves him, and then he lays on the ground, and we all start fading to black, and and the metamorphosis starts getting worse and worse
Yeah.
because from then on because that's kind of when he starts when the speech from his wife, becomes a lot more slurred when she's trying to call for help.
Hmm.
Um, to no avail. Um, and yeah, things are looking worse. You know, yeah. And so I guess he gets taken up and put in a bed. And he tries like he can't understand her, she can't understand him, so she gets like a notepad and a pen, and he writes down dying because like at that point
Yeah.
like he's not entirely sure what's happening. um
Yeah, which is different from the trailers too, right? Because I think in the trailers he writes changing.
yeah, I mean
I'm
in
pretty
this
sure.
particular in this particular, which I guess like for the trailer it's meant to just like that shot was pretty much the little thing where it says changing was meant to Lau said that he ran out of battery and the charger wasn't working. Damn,
Hmm.
that sucks. Yeah, sorry to hear that. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I guess that little difference in that scene where the notepad says changing, it's kind of meant for the trailer. Oh, it says it's fine now, though. All right. uh, yep. Well, you're free to come back on. Yeah. Um. Because they want to sell like, oh yeah, he's turning into a Wolfman. Oh my god! But in this particular, in the context of this of the film itself, like it wouldn't make sense for him to like kind of come to the conclusion that he's changing, like that. He just kind of would just
Yeah.
come to the conclusion that he's dying from some, which I mean, in a sense, he is kind of dying,
Yeah.
just not literally. All right, let me get Lau back on here.
Hello.
All right, yeah, you're back.
Okay, so I missed, of course, like the last few like minutes because of what happened. So where were you?
Um, hmm. Well, we're kind of like in the middle of the movie, the middle portion,
Ah, that when he's
where
already like unable to understand her at points, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
he's
pretty much,
already starting to like lose some of his senses, and then some others are like becoming more animalistic and stuff.
yeah,
And yeah, I think that the direction on that part was like really good for what I seen, like the change in lighting, the sound design, all of that actually was like really, really good for what I've seen.
yeah,
And
and there's like and the
Yeah.
seamless like transition from his perspective to the main perspective, which is like the wife and daughter's the perspective, the regular normal perspective, pretty much.
Yeah, those are pretty cool scenes to like see
Yeah,
how the perspective changes from one to the other. I thought it was pretty effective.
that
yeah,
feels like it was the most unique thing that this has done as a werewolf movie. And I really like that part.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Neat stuff. Um, and I guess what's next? Because like obviously the wife and daughter wouldn't be able to communicate with him. I think, oh yeah, I think the daughter does kind of put her hand on his head or something. Unless
Yeah,
it's
I think that's when like Charlotte starts to open up to him, and then Ginger comes into the room. They talk for a little bit, and I think that's when he gets up and starts acting out.
yeah. And then like Charlotte, like kind of, like she notices the bleeding on his arm, like there's blood like running down his hand.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and then you got, and she pulls off the gauze and the bandages, and she sees that that wound on his arm has just gotten so much worse. Like,
hmm
and then we get to the scene where get to the part where he starts gnawing on it because it's all
yeah,
infected. Which, it's gruesome stuff. I will say,
yeah. Pretty
gruesome
pretty
stuff.
gnarly.
Yeah, yeah, pretty effective body horror. Yeah, like this movie definitely has some pretty effective bits like that
Yeah,
here.
and I guess you could say it kind of foreshadows what happens later in the movie.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, we'll get to that. Um, so yeah, so you got that going on. So I guess by that point, um, so what's the part where he kind of like pulls like his hair off there? Like, is that before he started gnawing on his arm, or was it
I think
before?
so. Yeah, I think it's when he starts to like lay down on the bed and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and you
is
kind
when
of
he started
obviously,
doing
and
that.
he accidentally like scratches his own hair off, and you even see like the blood on his fingertips. Noticing where his
hmm
his claws are gonna start coming out. Catsboo in the chat says that Adam Does Movies thought Wolfman was all right. Yeah, I kind of checked out that video just more out of curiosity there, and yeah.
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, he said it was
yeah,
all right, but it didn't seem like he was all that positive about the movie, which it's just like, all right. Don't
yeah.
really have much.
I personally watched Chris Stuckman's and Dr. Wolfia's reviews.
Yeah, I watched Doctor Wolfiola's review. Did not watch Stuckman. What was the deal with Stuckman?
I think he had some of the similar opinions, a bit more positive side, but mostly just on like the stuff we said that we've liked, like the directing style, the way the perspective changes. I think he said he said more positive things about the design, saying that he liked how it focuses more on like or I guess the lack of the Wolfman stuff, how it's like not like 100% a werewolf. That's more realistic in that way.
Did you did he mention anything about the story or anything, or because like if he pretty much was more negative, like because usually you could say a lot about something by not saying anything about it at all, like usually.
Yeah, Chris
Um,
Tuckman
After,
normally talks
yeah,
about the technical stuff nowadays when he doesn't like a movie because he doesn't like giving negative criticism. Him
yeah,
specifically.
that's yeah, it's like
from what I remember,
if he didn't say much about the story, then or the characters or the writing, what have you, then then it's probably gonna be like, oh, so he didn't like it, but he ain't gonna say it because he's kind of a coward about it.
I remember, I think he had the same opinion that I had, or that I have like right now, which is that he thought the story and the writing was pretty decent, but that was lacking, um, a bit of extra. I think it's like, which I think he sort of like, to paraphrase his thing, is that it needed like a few more scenes or something impactful to really hammer home the theme. Which I agree that I think there's like a scene missing that would cement the theme, or the connection between the mother and the daughter, Charlotte and Ginger. Um, so yeah, I think that's what he said for the most part.
Yeah. And so I guess by this point, the wife then notices the truck that's out there, and she takes the initiative
Yeah.
to take a car battery and try to get her family into the truck so that she could get out of so they can all get out of Dodge, get into a hospital, what have you. Take the risk, if you will. Although I will say I think there was like a point where she left her daughter alone at one point. When did she was there a point where she left her daughter alone, while after Blake was like gnawing on his arm and something like that?
I think like at most only in the other room, but they all go out together, and
Well, okay. Well, I mean, obviously, what I'd be referring to would be something that happened before they all get out the house.
I think only when Blake was starting to act out. I think that's when told her to go to the other room, so that she didn't see him acting that way.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because there's going to be some. I guess what I'd be referring to is like a scene that some scenes that happen like later in the film, where it's just like, why would you leave? It's like don't leave your daughter in a corner there. Like, keep your daughter with you. Because scary shit's going on. Might wanna
Oh yeah.
stick together. But yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, she tries to start the truck up.
Would have been a little
can
bit
hear-
more scary if you felt like there was a threat of a werewolf, like even breaking a window. Like if you're alone in a room, like, something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, have you
But yeah,
guys watched Dog Soldier?
no.
Oh, that movie is literally werewolves. You have a military group defending a house from werewolves, and they're trying to get in every fucking corner of the house. That's how
I
good.
mean, yeah, I'm kind of familiar with the premise, but yeah, I've just not
Yeah,
seen it.
I've heard good things about that movie. I still have yet to watch it. I think it's on Prime or something. Um, so I'll probably get to watching that soon because I've heard good things.
Yeah, I want to try to at some point. Anyways, yeah, she's trying to start the car up, and Blake's kind of acting a little bit more and more, kind of twitchy a bit. Like he's trying to retain, like just kind of, what have you. She gets the truck charged up, batteried up, ready to go, as sounds of Wolfman are approaching. And then you get to the big scare that we see that you obviously see in one of the trailers, where the truck started. Windshield wipe. She has the windshield wipers to wipe off the dust and gunk, what have you. And Wolfman there, and he attacks. Smashes through the windshield again. Which kind of begs the question. Which again, like, considering that windshields are meant to be like stronger than a regular, than like a window for your house or what have you. Makes you wonder, like, how come he didn't think to just smash through a window in the house, if there's like any that's open.
Yeah.
If he's that strong. But yeah, then the family escape. While the Wolfman's kind of distracted. But then obviously that only lasts for so long. They then go on top of the greenhouse, which and the Wolfman knows that they're up there, and so he tries to go at them. So I'm not sure what you guys think of. I mean, like as far as like a bit of like suspense, it's like I get what the movie was trying to do, and there is some tensity there. But the more I kind of think about this scene, I was just like, why did you? Like, I get that you guys wanted to get away from him, by standing on top of there, but this little man, if he's able to reach his arms up there and scratch at the top of the greenhouse, because his claws are sharp enough to tear through it. Like that's probably like sitting on top of that is probably the worst. Probably the worst idea they could have done. What have you?
Probably. I think that probably the only explanation is like they thought they didn't have enough time to get back to the house. Um, I don't know how long the Wolfman was stuck in the windshield for, because I think he got stuck on the glass or something. And I think Charlotte took a few stabs at him, or at his arm at least, from the
Um,
driver's seat. And then I
um,
think they just ran up to the greenhouse.
I thought she only like stabbed him when when he was like through the doggy door, pretty much early in the film.
I think I don't know if I think that was a hammer or something. I don't know for sure,
Well,
but I know that.
still,
Yeah, but from what I remember, I think she did stab at his arm when it went through the windshield. And then I think he got stuck there somehow. I think he
well, I
also
mean,
ripped out something from the truck so that it wouldn't start anymore
well,
or
yeah,
something or other.
oh yeah, he ripped off like the gear, the shift gear or
Yeah.
gear shift thing. Yeah, no, I get that. But yeah, obviously there's like the daughter has crazy amount. It definitely has a lot of luck. Her luck is definitely on her side because every time the Wolfman scratches, it's not anywhere near her, or at least it's close to her, close enough to where she would eventually fall through the top thing,
Yeah.
but not so close where she could get scratched.
Yeah, because
Um,
I think the ceiling or whatever of the greenhouse is still tall enough that the Wolfman has to jump. And then also I think her weight is pushing the tarp down. Because you see like the bolts that are holding it to the frame or something are starting
well,
to
yeah,
pop off, like
well,
adding
yeah,
a little
that's
bit of
kind of the
tension
thing.
there.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like the Wolfman's like cutting through it, um,
Mhm.
so that he can eventually get her. Which is a thing. Which I mean, the fact that they just kind of went on top of the greenhouse, like it makes you like it again. If this thing was strong enough, and powerful enough to smash through windshields and tear off like the shift, for the gear shift from your car, like the top tarp for a greenhouse, it's he's not gonna have much trouble like tearing through that at all. So, so
True,
I'm not.
yeah.
So and then and then
I'm
you get
actually
Blake
surprised
kind of
that
distracting.
he couldn't like jump higher, like or climb. Like find a way to get to them, maybe from the outside.
Yeah, yeah, they have a ladder. That's right. The Wolfman could have just climbed up the.
Well, I
The
do think
Wolfman
they
could have.
like push it away. Like once everyone's on top, I think they do push it away.
I mean, maybe even then, like the Wolfman could have tried to reach for. Probably could have tried to climb up on there as well. Like it, because it goes. I mean, because it's instead it just goes inside the greenhouse. It's like you could have just like tried to chase them up. I don't know, like if you're a ravenous animal, like it would have done.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
being an animal doesn't mean that they don't have like common sense. Like if a dog wants to
Yeah,
get food, he will do a lot of different things to get there. The werewolf should be the same.
yeah, Yeah, I mean, and yeah, keep in mind, like it's not even like a regular, like your standard animal, like bear or mountain lion. Like here's the thing: if a mountain lion could try to climb up there, I'm pretty sure a wolf man probably would likely do the same.
I think the only like fair counterpoint would be probably if the tarp is unstable enough to where like its claws would just cut through, so it wouldn't be able to climb it. Um, because I
Yeah,
think the family like is only holding up by the frame, which is
yeah,
probably sturdier than the tarp.
yeah. I mean, like if he tried to get up there and then it just wasn't working, and he just kind of figures it out. Um, right, kind of like in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, where the Indoraptor's like walking across like the glass roof, pretty much, and puts pressure on the glass. His hand goes through, and he's all like, "Oh, don't want to go through that. I see what you guys are trying to do." Um, kind of like something like that, maybe. And then we just kind of, but even yeah, I don't know, like this scene, like honestly, like what follows, like during this greenhouse sequence, after they save the daughter from falling through, um, Blake kind of just lets himself get chased by the Wolfman so that his wife and daughter could run back to the house.
Yeah.
Um, honestly, he probably could have just tried something like, like attack the Wolfman or something, or do something to get the Wolfman's attention divert his attention away from the wife and
Yeah,
child.
because they sort of just disappear after that for a hot second.
Yeah,
I guess it's
yeah,
implied that they did have a fight scene. Um,
yeah,
and then he
not yeah,
just comes back after they get to the house.
yeah. We don't see him and the Wolfman fight. We don't see Blake and the Wolfman fight. Pretty much after the wife and daughter get in the house. So yeah, but yeah, and then he just comes back and he's like all fucked up. And it's which only accelerates his transformation. Um, so yeah, he probably could have just tried to divert the Wolfman's attention, before they even got to the greenhouse thing, or found some way. Try to. I don't know, like if that was the case. But then again, we wouldn't have the greenhouse scene, now would we? I guess I don't know.
I think
Yeah,
they
it's like,
should
I
have
don't think it's too bad.
maybe they should have just chosen a different setting so they could have made like a better sequence, because I feel like the greenhouse is like kind of forgettable. It's like a mid or barely above average type of sequence in a barely above average movie. Maybe they needed a little bit more, like, I don't know,
Like
something more.
maybe do you think if it was just like a shed or something, a little more sturdy?
Something
Oh,
like that. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I don't know. Like there. Honestly, there was like ways that they could have like gotten around. Like they could have had a set piece similar to this, but just kind of like, or even just like even just like change it, make it a little better by just tweaking it a bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Because I'm thinking, because it reminds me, honestly, if they're trying to go for something like Tremors, like when they're all on the roof, and then like the graboids try to destroy it from the inside. Um,
right,
something like that probably would have been a little cooler to see.
yeah, yeah, something like that. But yeah, they're all back in the house, essentially back to square one. And the husband's looking even worse, even more worse for wear than ever.
Yeah.
Um, and now I can't exactly recall what happens after that.
So I believe like they let him in, and he's like at his like lowest point before he goes full feral. I think that's when they have like the last scene of the of Ginger doing reading your mind routine that they do.
Yeah.
But like sadly, he can't say anything back to her. And then after that, he gets up and he vomits like
A
blood,
finger.
and you can see the fingers of what we assume is the Wolfman's fingers after they fought or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. I mean, it would have to be that, right?
Yeah.
Because because it's not like he would eat anyone else's fingers before then. So, yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so we have that scene.
And then now is this when we get to the Wolfman fight? Right after that, or
Yeah, I believe so, because I think he's still in some frame of mind of who he is. And then I think the Wolfman is that's when he like barges in. I forget from
now?
where. I think the back door or something.
So basically, and I guess they just so did they shut the bar gate section? Okay, so when the husband gets back in, did he shut both the doors, or did they only show him go through the outside door, or shut the inside door? Just
I don't remember honestly. I just know that he came in through the back door. I forget if they close it or if the Wolfman just somehow breaks through finally.
which here's the thing, if that was the case, then that just raises a whole lot of questions. Like, so how come this Wolfman didn't if it didn't just go through the doors earlier? Especially if he knew that there were people in there.
Yeah, like I
Maybe.
guess we would just have to.
I'm not.
You can go.
They just
Keep going. It's fine.
I guess we would just have to like play it back somehow or something. I just don't
yeah.
remember how the Wolfman gets in.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, yeah. We'll have to have more easy acts. We're gonna have, yeah. I have to wait. It's pending. This point is pending, considering that the movie is still in theaters, and I don't really have like the best means of being able to play back footage just to know confirm anything. But here's the
Yeah.
thing. But so all I can do is just sort of hypothesize, like, if they left the door open, then why the fuck did they leave the door open? Not very smart, especially if they know that it's still out there. But if he did close the door, especially both doors, or even just the one, well, here's the thing: why would he leave only one door open and only close one door and leave one open? But if they were both closed, how come the Wolfman wasn't able to get in through that earlier in the film? Like, in fact, at that point, like, I don't even. It just raises you think this Wolfman could just go through again, we would have to look at the layout of the house again. Just to make sure if there was if all the windows had bars and everything. Because if they don't, I can't help but ask some questions about why didn't this Wolfman's efficiency as a monster, as a villain, even.
Yeah.
Open the doors midway through the movie.
No, barge. No, he didn't even have to open the door. Barge through, smash through it like the Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah, that's opening it in a cool way. That though, yeah. He wanted to do it right. He didn't just want to, grab the handle. He was like, I have to go through it, like Jason. And until I believe that I can do it, I won't do it. And he just felt inspiration. He was motivated. He was like third act baby, and like soup.
Yeah,
Real
I guess so.
Yeah. So then we have real cool there. That's same logic as to why I don't even I don't have an example off the top of my head, but it's like rule of cool, not exactly the best thing to go off on, if you want it. It's like fuck logic. But anyways, so we got our fight. Which it's as far as like fights go, it's kind of like there isn't really much to, like. It's not very Wolfman like, because it just seems like two dudes, just throwing each other around and just what have you. I mean, considering that they do have the claws and they do got the teeth, the fangs, what have you, it's you could there is like a bit more of like sort of like this ferocity sort of thing. Like it wouldn't be a whole heck of a lot different. It wouldn't take that much of a changes at all. Like if because people kind of say like, oh, this may as well could have just been like a zombie movie, pretty much, or something like that, as opposed to a Wolfman film. And looking at this fight scene, or at least looking back on it, yeah, there wouldn't really be much of anything you could change. You would need to change to make it seem like it's more a zombie fight than a Wolfman fight, or something like that.
Hmm.
Um,
I guess so. I can't say I've ever like I can't think of a zombie fight
Yeah,
in my mind.
yeah.
well, no, but well, I mean, I'm just saying hypothetically speaking, like
No,
not
no,
Yeah.
necessarily.
I get it, but it's just that it's funny that I cannot come up with a single zombie fight because actually a zombie fight sounds like it will be super fucking funny because like uh, I don't have anything to hit you with, so I'm gonna rip off my own arm and I'm gonna use it like a club. And then when your jaw comes unhinged, you're gonna throw it at my face because you don't need it. Like that. It's like super fun. But in concept, this werewolf fight, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
fun
yeah,
using
I'll
this
say
specific
uh,
trait.
for what it is, like for what this movie is, I think the fight's pretty good. Um, I would if you put them in front of me, like 2010, the Wolfman's fight
Yeah,
scene, I think that one does it better. Just because
yeah,
it's more Wolfman.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, like the whole Wolfman and like like the fight that fight scene, the Wolfman fight in the 2010 version is it pretty much plays into the Wolfman concept because these are two wolf-like creatures like fighting each other. Like the way they move and the way they fight each other it's from it like there is some human stuff going on. Like a moment where Lawrence Talbot is grabbing Wolfman Lawrence is grabbing like Wolfman Sir John's like head and just slamming it because obviously a wolf wouldn't do that, wouldn't be capable of doing it. But they also have, but the way they're also you have the way they're running and biting into each other and clawing into each other. It's also that is something that wolves would do if they're fighting each other. So there is like a mix of both. Whereas with this movie, there isn't really much of that except for like except for how the fight ends.
yeah, I would say it's more like two above average strong guys with claws fighting than like
Yeah,
two like monsters fighting.
Wolverine
exactly.
in Wolverine versus Deadpool felt more like a you know like animal than
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point because like when they first fight, like Wolverine has all those like animal like movements. Like I feel like that's more animalistic than what we saw in like moments of like the new Wolfman fight.
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, like there's like yeah. Obviously, I mean, actually, yeah. Good point. Better example than the zombie analogy I had going on. It pretty much would like if you just swap these two Wolfmen with like Wolverine and Sabretooth or something like that, it wouldn't really be. You wouldn't really have to change a whole lot in terms of the
Mm.
choreography and what have you. Um, so you got that. Um, and Blake kills the Wolfman, bites into his throat, tears it off. Um, and as the Wolfman dies, Blake notices a tattoo on his arm, and it says Lovell, which
Guys,
is Lovell.
I'm really
Hmm?
sorry because we were almost moving on. I just thought of a way in which you can make a werewolf fight very like based on werewolves. So you know how when werewolves are transforming, basically they're healing up all of their body because they're like breaking every single bone to like reshape into a wolf. I
Yeah,
just thought it was interesting. What if while a werewolf is transforming, uh, he basically cannot die. Imagine that. Like I'm just saying, while they're transforming, they're basically immortal. After they're done transforming, like maybe they can be killed, but while their body's shaping, they're basically invulnerable. So what if a werewolf was transforming, fighting another one, and you had like this really fucked up fight where you, I don't know, like rip off a hand and it starts like growing back with all the claws and all the hair. Like I don't know.
Oh,
I
so
think
you're saying like, oh, like a fight scene mid transformation?
exactly, and everything that
Oh,
they hurt, every damage that they receive basically gets healed because they haven't finished transforming yet. So you could like rip off
mm.
an arm, and the arm will grow back.
Oh.
You know,
Yeah.
That's a
Oh.
pretty cool concept. And
yeah,
it actually reminds me now, since we were talking about werewolf fights and like that whole concept, have any of you guys watched Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix?
yeah,
No.
There's an episode about basically it's a world where werewolves are hired into the military. Um,
yeah,
and it's basically like werewolves like that work for the military and are part of like these squads. And they have like these two werewolf brothers who are chasing after, I guess, a werewolf that was hired by the Taliban or something. And there's a
Oh.
fight scene that kind of plays out like how Lao is describing. Um, but I think it's more like when they get hurt in their werewolf forms, they still have their wounds in like their human forms, and they have to like um, and it's pretty gnarly how they like heal from it.
Hmm.
Relatively faster than normal, but still, it's like takes time.
yeah.
Cool.
See, Monster,
Cool.
if
And
you haven't
yeah, and
checked,
the werewolf fight in that episode is really cool. So I would recommend it if you haven't watched it.
Ah.
yeah, actually, you should just watch Love, Death, and Robots. There are some
Hmm.
episodes that are not that great, yeah, but most are really good, and they are like they range from 3 minutes to 15, so you can watch a lot of them in
Yeah.
a like an hour,
Hmm.
honestly.
Ah. Cool. All right. Um. Anyways. So yeah, then it's revealed that the Wolfman that has been besieging Blake and his family was Blake's father the whole time.
Dun, dun,
Um.
dun.
Yeah. Apparently, I guess Blake's dad, maybe while he was like tracking down I get it would have to be like at some point we would have to like infer that it was like while Blake was away, when after Blake left his dad, like or got
Yeah.
old enough to leave him. That's when Blake's dad gets tries to hunts down the Wolfman that I guess that was like the hitchhiker that was like hinted at who had disappeared.
Hmm.
Or not the hitchhiker, just hiker who disappeared and got the disease of of being a wolf man.
Yeah.
And then the dad got infected himself. Which let's just say like I would be surprised if anybody was. There's the did anybody was able anyone able to predict that was what happened to the dad that the dad
I
was going to
I was
was this
able
wolf
to
man the
tell
whole
that was
time.
gonna happen when I saw the trailer. Uh, Basically that, and then the synopsis, and I was like, oh, he has a dad. I wonder who's gonna be the werewolf. And
Yeah, I
so,
mean,
also
Yeah.
one thing that I
Uh,
have an issue with is, wouldn't the dad kill himself? Like, because he's a person that apparently takes this shit seriously, right? Like with the hunting, and he's aware of the werewolf stuff. So when he gets scratched, wouldn't he be like, okay, this is the end? Like, I'll just blow my head up. This is it.
yeah, yeah, you'd think. Yeah,
probably.
Because if it's like the hiker doesn't know, like he's probably not from the area, but the dad, like he knows everything. Like he knows this shit.
yeah. I mean, the fact that the Wolfmanism that we got going on here isn't supernatural. It's all biological. Like, because as we kind of find out later on, it doesn't take it. Like, you're not required to use it doesn't take a silver bullet to kill a Wolfman.
Yeah, in
Ultimately,
this universe, like it's
in
all
this
based
universe.
on like a virus. Like it's basically like super rabies or something.
Yeah. And pretty much it did like they kind of done away with the whole thing of even a man who is pure at heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolf's bane blooms and the autumn moon is bright, kind of thing in the other versions of the Wolfman, to kind of suit this, more
Yeah, and
scientifically.
isn't part of like the werewolf curse in the originals that you can't off yourself? Like the curse won't let you or something?
Um, I'd say
Probably so.
they don't really make it. I don't think. I don't think they outright state it because if I mean they don't outright state one way or the other, really.
Hmm.
I mean,
I'm only mentioning it because
Werewolf
I
in
think in some
London
of the
said
reviews I heard it.
that. Oh, I'm sorry. Please keep going.
Oh no, you keep going.
Okay, I was gonna say, for example, Werewolf in London, American Werewolf in London says that you have to kill yourself. That is more modern than the old movies, but that straight up says
Yeah.
that you should just kill yourself. And probably there are some movies in which you cannot kill yourself, but most of them don't really mention that. So you should
Right.
assume that it's 100% possible. It's not like Hulk,
Yeah.
where if you try to kill yourself, suddenly you transform. It's like if you kill yourself before the full moon or even before transforming, like that's it. Normally, that's it.
Well, yeah, and I mean the 2010 Wolfman kind of does a fair job at accounting for it. For that, yeah, for the whole suicide thing, because uh, just like you got Lawrence Talbot, who when he first transforms into Wolfman, he's like unsure of like what's happening. Well, before he first transforms, he's unsure about whether or not the curse is even true. So when he does first transform, he become it's all confirmed. Second, and after that, the second time he transforms, he's kind of like he was unable to commit suicide because he was institutionalized, so they wouldn't let him commit suicide. Or try to. So the second transformation happens, and he breaks out. And the last time he transforms, like the reason why he wouldn't commit suicide before then is because he kind of has a motive, a reason to kind of sort of like postpone that being a possibility until whatever mission he had in mind can be accomplished. And the other Wolfman that's featured in that film is ultimately kind of like embraces his lycanthropy, so he wouldn't even want to commit suicide because he just wants to go go wolf out however he pleases because it's kind of gone bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in the case of like the whole, I could definitely see where people are coming from. That the whole point of like a man kind of like just becoming a werewolf, by a full moon, like that's kind of done away with. I could definitely understand where people are coming from when they say like by stripping away the supernatural element and making it more biological. It's just kind of like, or confirming that it's biological at least. Um, you kind of stripped away pretty much the mysticism of how the werewolfism kind of works.
Yeah. And then there's
So
also the fact that I guess for this one you're sort of just like a werewolf all the time once you're infected. So
yeah,
there's no transforming back and forth.
there's like there's nothing. Yeah, it's ultimately kind of there's not. It's kind of like at a point where like once you become a werewolf, you're a werewolf like for the rest of your life, essentially, like all day, every day, all night, every night. Um, yeah. Whereas like the curse element in other versions of the Wolfman, it's kind of it just kind of makes it like, okay, yeah, like I mean, a man could try to live with this curse, but ultimately, but he obviously has to keep that in mind going forward. If he doesn't try to kill himself, of course.
I think that a way in which you can keep, the more mystical angle, depends heavily on how the end result looks. Because, having a
Yeah,
hairy, disfigured dude, like, yeah, that could be a disease. But if you actually turn in the end permanently and very slowly into a straight up wolf, that transformation is way more severe. And that's something that they
yeah,
did in their snaps. And it still feels like a little bit mystical, seeing this girl transform into this giant fucking like wolf thing.
yeah. I mean, I can say like, as far as like the Wolfman designs go, how the makeup work was kind of done for it in execution compared to the little Halloween Horror Nights costume thing that they had going on. Um, I would say like at least in execution with the final film, it does look better, pretty much. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it looks of
it's just
quality, Like
yeah,
I wouldn't call it bad.
no, it's not bad. It's just like the makeup work is fairly solid, and once you get to Blake transforming, it's at least like some solid practical work going on. It's just
Yeah.
that it's just that the end result, it's like it's not the most Wolfman like, and like let's just say like it meet like Blake's final form as a Wolfman is it's like it barely, and I mean barely, like meets the kind of like meets the standard of a Wolfman, because you got like the snout pretty much kind of looking that look kind of looks wolf like as opposed to human like. The jaw kind of, his facial, like the bone structure of his face kind of is different. He's got the longer claws, and his hands look more extended out. Um, and he's got a little it's funny. It's kind of funny, like how like it seemed like he may have got like equal amount of still has like the equal amount of hair here when he's fully transformed, as he did before he even became started transforming, before he gets
Yeah.
infected. It's just that the hair is like allocated to like his back, while
Yeah.
he's mostly kind of looks more has like alopecia going on.
Yeah, I was saying like he lost more hair than he gained because now he's bald and like he just has like a hairy back.
Yeah,
Imagine
yeah.
turning into
Or,
a
or hey,
werewolf.
yeah. Or here's the thing. Or granted, he was wearing pants. Who knows where? Maybe he has more hair down there. He was wearing jeans, so who knows where the hair went? Maybe he's got
Dude,
more hair.
like
We just didn't see it.
Starkey has more hair than
No.
this werewolf. And he's a
Yeah.
bald monkey.
Yeah. So yeah. Blake kind of notices that it was his dad that is a wolf. And I guess it just kind of plays into the thematic. Like now, it's trying to bring the thematics full circle, where now Blake is becoming the thing that he was trying to. He's becoming just like his father, and he's which also happens to be the thing that he was trying to protect his family from. Um, which is, and it's kind of like this sort of like full circle type of thing, where it's like a cycle, a vicious, endless cycle, seemingly. But then, yeah, and obviously, so you got that.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
then I
so
think from here he goes outside, right?
yeah, he goes outside because he knows, like, now, it's like, okay, I'm fucked. I need to get out before I transform anymore, so that my family doesn't see this or worse. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean it again, like real pretty solid acting from Christopher Abbott. Like he does a really good
Yeah.
job. Like like just kind of getting across like what's going on in his mind without any dialogue, really.
Yeah,
So that,
I think the scene is really well played out. It's well acted, and the visual storytelling I think is like superb. But
yeah.
then it gets ruined with the wife explaining to the kid what happened, and
Oh
it's
God,
that
yes.
trope of that horrible trope or cliche of like oh, this just happened. Now let me explain it to the audience. I
Yeah.
really don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, I get that the wife that Charlotte wants to explain to her daughter would try to like tell her daughter what's happening because her daughter asked. But my God, that dialogue is clunky as all hell, and it's just really
Yeah.
like just spelling it out to the audience. It's like, guys, we're not fucking hell. Like we like I don't like what is this? What do we? Why do you? What is this dialogue for? Or for the dummies out there, or what? I don't know.
Yeah,
Like, is
because
it
I
or is
feel
it
like
just for?
even yeah, because I feel like even people who didn't see the twist coming, um, but like got it. You know, like my girlfriend didn't see the twist coming, and like she understood. Oh yeah, that's dad, and now I know like oh what's the story he's trying to tell. But having that dialogue scene like just ruins like the perfect storytelling you had there.
Yeah, I mean, it could have just been. Yeah, she could have just been like the daughter be like, is this what is what's happening? Is what happened to is that guy? What hap is that thing? What gonna be? Is what dad gonna turn? Is dad gonna turn into something like that thing or something along those lines? And the wife could just be like, I'm afraid so, and leave it at
Yeah.
that. Like there you go. There you go. It's like easy fixes. Easy fixes.
Hmm.
Like
or
I mean,
or
good
uh,
grief.
or the daughter doesn't ask anything. You know that you
Yeah.
don't need to fix something that you didn't break. So just don't like the girl's in shock and she doesn't say anything. Boom, easy peasy.
Yeah, she could have seen the Yeah, she looks at the tattoo and notices that it's the same last name as yeah, as her dad and as like her pretty much.
Yeah.
And she kind of puts the pieces together like, oh, that's grandpa. Something like that.
Yeah,
And
Grandpa
because
didn't
it's
take his
also like
Viagra. He got
because it's not
angry.
like Ginger didn't know who her grandpa was since you have the dinner table where Blake tells her about her grandfather, so she knows about him, and so she can like I'm pretty sure she would have been able to like put the pieces together, and even if she had to ask anything, you can have like a way to like um do it or explain it without having that whole exposition dump.
exactly.
Hey
Um,
guys, just to know, like, could you like paraphrase a little bit of what the wife tells the girl, just to know how bad it actually is? Because that part I actually didn't find online.
hmm. Uh,
Um, well, I mean, like, just imagine everything we've said, like the way we recapped it. Like, imagine if we just like if the wife just said what we just said, like when we were
yeah,
recapping it, like, oh,
Oh,
your father, your father's dad went missing. He got sick, and now he got your dad sick, and now he's gonna turn
oh,
into
it's
um
that.
that
what
that
your
much,
dad
like
did.
literally almost from the beginning of the movie. Oh my fucking god, that's really bad. Like,
Yeah,
fuck. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I thought
And
she would have said something like, "That was a werewolf. Your grandfather and your parent are werewolves now. Yeah, they're fact. They're fact, daughter. Yeah,
yeah,
and I'm gonna go out there and be werewolves." But I didn't think that she would be like. So there was a hiker, and there was your grandpa, and then we came here, and then he got beaten, and it actually turned like she went through the whole thing.
yeah. I mean, oh yeah,
not
oh
the
yeah.
whole thing, but like,
I forgot to
but like,
mention
yeah,
this. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Oh yeah, so like that's right. There was like a text. There was like opening text at the very beginning of the movie that kind of talks about how the hiker went missing. Like they don't even put it. Like they have like maybe some dialogue about it, like later in that opening, but they just add like text there, and it just details like, oh, a hiker went missing in 1995. He hasn't been seen since, and legends tell of how like there's like a disease that that could turn a man into a beast, into a feral beast, and it's it has they show like a Native American name pretty much, but they translate it to face of the wolf.
Yeah, of course, yeah, Native Americans, yeah.
For what it is, I think that was pretty cool. Uh, uh, for what it is, I guess.
It reminded me of like the opening text at the very beginning of The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which kind of just details like, yeah, guys, you don't need this. Like, you could have just found like a better way for audiences to be able to pick up the details, like through
Yeah.
dialogue, or even just through some or visual storytelling, like something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I would say it's better than The Last Voyage, since like The Last Voyage is like, oh, this is from a book, so it sort of breaks the immersion. To where this one's a little bit more immersive, because I mean, it's just some like, it's like a Star Wars crawl, I guess. In a way, um,
Hmm.
not as bad as like Demeter, to where it's just like this is from a book,
Oh,
or
by the
something.
way, Dracula. By the way, Dracula's in
Yeah.
this. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they could have just they should have just left that text out. I will say, yeah. I mean, Wolfman's case is better than Last Voyage to Demeter, even though I would say Last Voyage to Demeter is still better as a
Yeah.
film overall. But yeah, I can agree. Yeah. Um, and then the lights kind of go out. After
Yeah.
after Charlotte and Ginger's conversation there. And then
Yeah.
they kind of hear some rustling going on. Not
Yeah.
Ginger. Charlotte leaves Ginger like in a dark corner, while she investigates the upstairs area. So they know that Blake is pretty much turning into a monster, has turned into a monster, and may very well be getting into the house. Why would you
Well,
just leave
actually,
your
it's
daughter?
interesting because okay, so before the lights go out, we see the transformation scene,
Yeah,
which
no, I get that.
it's which would be cooler if it was like a better Wolfman, like we've been saying. Because there's some pretty neat body horror going on there a little
Oh
bit,
yeah,
with the jaw and the bones morphing and stuff that we do see a little bit of.
yeah,
And then there's a scene where Charlotte and Ginger see him just like staring in the window, which I think is also when we see that they do. Actually, honestly, I'm kind of forgetting. I forget if that's when we see if they have bars or not. Um, but we do see him in the window, and
yeah.
then I'm assuming that the first Wolfman, his dad, didn't burst through the door because I think they're closed again. Because I think he comes in
Yeah.
through the top floor, right?
Um, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a
Actually,
scene where
maybe.
they're in the dark and we can barely make out that he's coming from the upstairs.
Hmm. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that's
Wait,
why Charlotte leaves her in the corner because we see that from the hallway where there's basically two entrances, one through the living room into the kitchen and coming out. So I
true, but
guess he just
even
found some way to get all the way back there.
Sure, but even then, I would not leave my daughter with me if I would not go around without my daughter for even a second. I would not separate
Yeah.
from my daughter even from like a few feet or for a second if there's like a monster man in the house,
Hmm.
like um, but yeah, and Blake is like in the shadows in the corner. He's like ready to pounce, and Charlotte just sees him, um, which makes me wonder, like, it makes me wonder, like, so what was Blake doing? Like, it's like he probably could have just like attacked, especially if he's like full feral, pretty much, but or at least like he may as well be full feral right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
that's pretty
Charlotte
much
and
what.
Ginger, they narrowly escape um, Blake. So
That's kind of like what Omniviewer said as soon as he saw the trailer. Like, why are these werewolves, waiting for the jump scare?
Hmm.
yeah, they're kind
Yeah,
of
because he
just
starts just waiting there. Which, knowing what I know about animals, sometimes they do sort of just wait there to pounce. Because they're still
Yeah,
thinking animals. Like, they don't know, like, what we're going to do in response to that.
but the thing
So
is, I
sometimes they
think that
will just wait.
for it to work, you do need to establish the werewolf better. Like,
Hmm.
for example, like so here's the thing. I wrote a story that's actually a werewolf movie, and there was a little thing that I wanted the werewolf to do. And for that, first of all, I made a design for the werewolf to have really, really big ears, like really big. And I established that the werewolf is really curious about certain noises or vibrations, right? So if you want to establish that a werewolf is not like jumping straight to attack, you need to say why. Like, do they just are they curious? If they are, you need to showcase it somehow. Because here, for what I've seen, it just feels like because horror movie. You know,
yeah,
Hmm.
animals are different. They have personalities, but you need to establish it. And if you're gonna say that all the werewolves here are kind of like that, you need to prove it. That's the thing.
yeah.
For it to be
Oh,
believable.
I just realized. So at the beginning of this stream, I pretty much said that this is the 28th Sea Monster Live. I just counted over my past streams. This is the 29th. Yeah. Yes, last stream was the 28th, so this is 29.
Ah.
So yeah, there we go. Got it wrong. All right, I got it wrong. I goof. Sorry. Um. But yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Then wife and daughter escape. Um. And they run into the barn house, pretty much, and they try to hide in there or try to figure out a way to deal with the transformed Blake. And so Charlotte thinks to just set up a trap by grabbing a bear trap. Um, which
Dude,
callback.
I told you last stream, like invisible bear trap. There you have it. Invisible man wins.
Well, this bear trap's not invisible, so it's
So, but it's close enough, so the invisible man will definitely win.
yeah. It's a callback to. So obviously, if you've seen the original Wolfman, it's a callback to that the bear trap thing. Um, which I mean, if Zim were here and he had seen this movie, he would probably talk about how it's like a slop, sort of Easter egg thing. Just be like, "Hey, remember this, guys?" or something like that, or kind of what he did with
Probably.
it when he mentioned like how the Invisible Man 2020 had callbacks to the 1933 Invisible Man at some point. Um, in this particular instance, it's more organic here because at the very least, like, all right, I can see, like, I can at least see how how Blake's dad would have a considering that they go out hunting, would have a bear trap in his shed.
Yeah.
So, in case there are bears, in case they're
Yeah,
hunting
the thing
bears
is,
or
Yeah.
like
I
that.
wouldn't even
Like
call that
it
callback. It's
yeah,
just
it's
common.
yeah, it's a more organic callback to the original Wolf. I mean, like it is a callback to the original Wolfman because of the bear trap thing, But it's like all right, I can at the very least see it being something that would happen, like that
Yeah.
the characters would be able to have access to, for sure. Like convenient, yes, but it's not bad.
Yeah, I'd say it's
Uh,
played out pretty well considering like you said, like the dad would have stuff like that. Like lying around in the barn,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and stuff. I would say honestly, it did kind of catch me by surprise since I didn't see it was a bear trap that she grabbed. I sort of just thought it was like a chain. So I
Yeah.
was pretty surprised that it's a bear trap. I
I
thought she was just gonna like blind the wolfman with the light she had or something.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of.
But yeah,
I mean, to be fair, the way the scene was shot, it didn't. I don't think it made it like all that clear because when she grabbed the chain, I was like, "What is she grabbing here?"
yeah,
And then it's like revealed that it was a bear trap as when Wolfman Blake, kind of steps on it. It's like, that's what she grabbed. Okay. But right before that, we go into like his wolf vision one last time, and he sees the world being totally distorted. He sees his wife and daughter in the dark. And they're right there, and I guess he's kind of like stalking them pretty much because like
yeah,
they can't see him, but he can see them. And they're like their faces are like really distorted. Their eyes are like really glowing, which is something that we kind of have seen over the course of the film. Like their eyes are like glowing
yeah,
much brighter over time, and so on and so
You
on.
know,
And
actually,
their speech is
right
much
there,
more distorted.
right there, you have an excuse for the werewolf not to jump immediately. You could have tried to say that the werewolf is so disoriented by what he's seeing that it might even be scarier for the werewolf to see a human than for the human to see the werewolf. So that's why they stay afar until they, decide to attack. You could say
Right.
something like that, but
So, maybe you could infer it, I guess. But then Blake Wolfman, steps on a bear trap, and Charlotte and Ginger make their escape again.
yeah,
And they go off into the woods. And while they're running off in the woods, trying to just trying to find a way out, try to find their truck, pretty much their U-Haul truck, essentially. Well, I mean, it's not a U-Haul truck because because they wouldn't have the rights because U-Haul probably would have said like,
the
hey, give
rights
us that
to you
money.
all.
Rights to U-Haul, yeah. um, they luckily stumble upon Derek's body. um, which and or at the very least, like they find like his disembodied arm. I guess. Um,
Yeah.
um, did they find his whole body, or along with his rifle, or just?
Well, like you said, I know they find his arm and then a bunch of blood. I forget if we see his torso or something. I think we might have seen the torso, um,
Right. But yeah,
or something like that.
Charlotte. But yeah, Charlotte finds his rifle, his sniper rifle. Um,
Mhm.
but Blake is on their tail because he was able to chew his own foot off that was caught in the bear trap, and so now he's like stuck with one foot so now he's forced to go on all fours. Um,
Or all
and
threes now.
well, well, I mean, yeah. Well, there you go. Um, yeah, but basically kind of crawling, essentially, but really quickly crawling, because it's like running on his two hands, his foot, and the stump where his other foot used to be. Um, which is kind of fascinating. Oh, I guess you could say at this point, like he's just kind of running on. Like it would have to be like painful as hell for him still, but he's like running on adrenaline. But and I guess
Hmm.
like the way, and I guess with the way with this film ends, it wouldn't really matter. It wouldn't really matter whether or not he just bled out later on after doing what he was trying to do during here. But it is just kind of like, um, where am I trying to go with this? But like, it is kind of like interesting that he just kind of is just is just kind of being able to like keep up at like really at like such a good pace, especially with all that going on.
I guess so. I mean, I don't think they had to run that much of a distance if you think about it, because they were able to outrun the Wolfman in the beginning. Um,
Well,
because I
narrowly.
don't think it was that far. Because I think even Derek said it was only a few, like not too far up ahead, 2 other houses from where they crashed.
Well, they were able to outrun it because they had a good head start. Because the Wolfman was, chowing down on Derek early in the film, but also the Wolfman was able to catch up with them pretty quickly before they, and they were able to just like get in the house and shut the door at the nick of time, right as the Wolfman was getting to it, and keep in mind that Wolfman didn't have to chew his foot off, so
Yeah.
So he's pretty much at peak, like sort of Wolfman movement. There, and obviously he would have to have been Wolfman for a while, whereas Blake just transformed, and he had to like bite his own foot off, and just start going on all fours.
Yeah.
So I mean, like the fact that he was able to like keep up with Charlotte and Ginger after all that is kind of
Let's
kind of
say that if
interesting.
you were a Howard Taylor, you will be really frustrated with this movie depiction of werewolves.
Yeah. I don't think it's too unbelievable that he was able to keep up certain pace, because they still do outrun him a few times, although he is able to get up on the U-Haul truck again. So I guess he was fit enough to scale that.
I mean, the thing is though, like he had to start, chasing after them in like a whole new, like sort of, it's like a new form of like running, like running on all fours. Like he just started.
Yeah.
And the fact that he had to chew his own foot off, like, bite his, like, like that just like adds a whole nother variable. It's like, okay, now you're missing a foot. So now he has to like get used to pretty much like run on the pretty much like three full limbs and 2/3 of one.
Yeah, and you
Let's
have to
just say.
believe that that's enough adrenaline to not feel the pain. And also, like, if you wanted to go with it's more like an animal wouldn't be chasing you if, at that point, an animal would give up. Just, it's a waste of energy. He's probably gonna die.
Yeah, like an animal, like a predator isn't gonna want to like expend like a whole lot of its like energy if it doesn't have to. Like 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 after like after like that Wolfman would have chewed his foot off. After his wife and daughter pretty much like got away from him a good distance, he would just kind of like since he's like in that animalistic state, he would just kind of like sort of move on.
Yeah,
Potentially.
or go bite on the remains of the other guy.
Right.
Sure,
Like at the very at the very least with the 2010 Wolfman, like he was able to keep up at a good pace with 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 Emily Blunt pretty much. I mean, granted, I kind of have some issues with the fact that she was able to keep up in pace with him. Considering that her wardrobe, let's just say, like she has to run away from a Wolfman that's like being able to go, keep up at pretty good, like not sustain like a whole lot of damage really. So he's able to run on two pretty much bipedal. So, but I digress. Like at the very least, like he could even be like, okay, even if she had a good running start, he was able to see where she was going, and he wasn't preoccupied with anything for that long. And so then he didn't have to worry about chewing his own foot off for any reason. So he wouldn't lose like any sort of being able to wouldn't be able to lose track. So he didn't have to worry about losing track of her. And and his height and here's the thing, even when she's hiding and tries to run off, he still gets a scent. He still has her scent or even hearing, so he's able to just be like, oh, she went that way.
Yeah, and not only that, like we saw that werewolf run like hell, like on the rooftops. Like we knew how fast he was. Like
Yeah,
you really see it, so it's believable once he, like catches up. But this guy just, like 3 legs. It's kind of sad.
yeah, yeah. Well, even then, like when the 2010 Wolfman is like running on rooftops, he's essentially like like not chasing anybody. He's just kind of running loose,
Just
basically.
having
Like,
fun. He's just a funny little boy.
yeah,
But
and there's times where he's even on all fours. He alternates from running on his legs to running on all fours and then back. So depending
yeah,
on like what his body like requires in order to get from point A to point B, whether it's chasing down prey or again just point A to point B, maybe even like escape, potential people trying to kill him. So,
yeah. Like I
but
just
yeah,
feel like they had a really easy way out of, like him chasing them, so it wasn't so like forced. Just say that while he's trying to hurt uh, them in the real world, show his own perception being him trying to not chase them, but like not stay alone. Because, like, for example, talking about zombie movies, I once watched this short film for a zombie story where the mom becomes a zombie. She wants to like kill herself, but then at the last second, she decides to hug her son. That's how
hmm.
he sees it. She's, like hugging him and telling him that she loves him. In reality, she's biting him, and they both turn in the end, like the mom and the kid. So you can have this duality of, okay, he's trying to hurt them in the real world, but in his own perception, he's just trying to be with his family, and that makes sense for why he's chasing them through all of this bullshit. Uh, and also it shows that while you're trying to protect someone, you might be actually hurting them, and thematically it closes a little bit more everything that they were trying to do.
Yeah, I mean the problem though, yeah. The only thing though is like, while he's turning into the Wolfman, he's kind of like he's pretty much aware that he's turning into something terrible. So by that point, he's just kind of like you would have to like kind of rework, about how a Wolfman perceives like the world around him, in a way, in order to kind of like have that work in this context.
Ah, yeah, yeah, I know. I'm saying that there were ways. The thing is with this whole movie, I feel like if they had like rewritten the script once or twice more, just give it a new try, a new draft, they could have actually made something really nice. But I feel like there's a lot of halfway there executions, and
Yeah,
yeah.
and and the thing is, like Leigh Whannell, like it's not like here. Let me check Leigh Whannell's filmography here, like at least like screenwriting filmography credits, to see like if he was, like because like like Invisible Man 2020 and this movie, it's like a 5 year difference. So so I'm wondering like if like maybe he just didn't have enough time to rewrite this, or what would have gone
No,
on.
no, no, I don't think so. Like honestly, this story is very basic. It's nothing special for you to tell me that it took him years to think about this. Like as someone that actually wrote a couple of versions of like TV shows and movies, you can get really far in very very a small amount of time.
Well, okay. So for the looks of things, the only things that he did that he would have. Okay, so from the looks of things, it's not like he. No, it doesn't look like he had much going on to where his writing would have been. His writing process for this film would have, been hurt really. The only thing But the only thing he did between in the writing side of things between Invisible Man and this movie was that he got a story credit as well as being producer for the fifth Insidious movie, but in 2023. But even then, it's he didn't screenwrite it. He only just kind of came up with the story. So it's not like he had much. So for the looks of things, it's not like he had like like he had that much going on to distract him from tightening the script a bit for this
Yeah, like
movie. So.
we will never really know, but what could have happened if we're trying to, like be nice, is that he went through a lot of different ideas. He just didn't feel like they worked. And maybe this is the one that resonated the most to him. And the problem is that he came up with it way too late. So the story that we're seeing, while not his first idea or first attempt, is still the most recent. And since he couldn't connect with his previous attempts of a werewolf movie, this is what he did.
Yeah.
And by then, like they had to make the movie because of contracts and stuff like that. That's if we're being nice. If not, uh, someone could say that maybe he didn't really feel like he wanted to make a werewolf movie. Like maybe he was thinking of themes way too much, and the passion for the werewolf type of movie wasn't there. Like it could have been a lot of things, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, and there's not to mention like the fact that Invisible Man 2020, he worked on that and was such a hit. That Universal was like, hey, we'd like to work on some more of our projects. So maybe it's like we'd like you to do Wolfman next, because like Wolfman, because this movie was initially gonna be produced and starring Ryan Gosling,
Oh yeah.
but he left. So as soon as Leigh Whannell was brought on, like then I guess like things changed. Then Ryan Gosling left the project, or departed some for one reason or another. But it kind of makes me wonder, like, if what the Gosling version probably would have looked like. I would have been curious.
The thing I wonder is like, why the Wolfman movie right now? Like really wasn't there something that he maybe like had a better idea for or something like that, or was it just that he didn't?
I think
Um,
it's just I think it's just because like Universal is kind of realized like, oh hey, we could just since Invisible Man made a decent chunk of change, because it's Blumhouse and Leigh Whannell, why don't we just kind of get them to come back to do like another project? And they just kind of decided to do Wolfman because they've been doing like a lot of like Dracula type related stuff already that isn't from Blumhouse. So
yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't want to get really cynical, but I think that one of the options also, like just being realistic, is hey, you made this movie about like abuse and all of that with the Invisible Man. Is there anything that you can make with similar themes? And then he was thinking, like of different like things that he might be able to do, and he was like, well, werewolves could technically adapt to someone changing into something that doesn't work, so let's just stack those themes with a werewolf movie and let's like make it as fast as we can, because like you do
Right.
have like that transformation thing, of someone changing into something that they don't really want to be. It's been done a lot of times with werewolves, so maybe that's it. Maybe he came up with the themes first, and then he stitched up the werewolf aesthetics into it.
Yeah, and
Because normally,
he didn't quite mesh. He didn't quite mesh them together as well as they could have been.
yeah, because normally producers want you to do something similar to something previous. So it could be possible that they themselves wanted him to focus on that, do something similar to what he did with Invisible Man. Because I do think that this is very, very similar. It's just not on the same level.
Right. I mean, the thematics. I mean, like the specific thematics, if you will, in this film. They're not exactly the same as Invisible Man, because Invisible Man kind of deals with abusive, toxic, romantic relationships,
Yeah, this
um,
is like
and stuff
a
like that,
different
and
type of.
gaslighting. Whereas this is pretty much kind of like
More like generational
deteriorating
trauma, you know.
generational trauma. Yeah, yeah, well, like that. But yeah, I mean, who really knows? I mean, that probably seems like most likely uh, the case of like, hey, you did really well with Invisible Man. We want you to. How about you do us a favor and do another Universal monster? Um, and so, but who knows? And I guess we're pretty much getting to the culmination, if you will. We get to because we got Charlotte and Ginger running into this little watchtower thing.
And they
And
got
try
the
to huddle up.
rifle.
They got to huddle up in there, and just because like they got nowhere else to go. But Blake is like right on their
Hmm.
tail, so they have to get up there and huddle up and be ready to shoot him, if he comes up.
Yeah, and we've
Kind of like,
come
kind of
full
like what,
circle from the beginning.
yeah, kind of like what Blake and his dad did in the beginning of the movie, where there was a wolf man that was chasing them or stalking them, chasing them, hunting a deer, hunting the same deer that they were hunting. So yeah, um, so Blake comes up, sees them, and he kind of stares at them for a little bit. And Ginger is kind of like, you know, he kind of like recognizes that a little bit, and Ginger's all like, I think he pretty much he wants this to be over. Which it's like, okay, I mean, probably could have done without that, but without the dialogue, but but without that line, but all right, I guess it's kind of like just to give her mom like motivation to just pull the trigger if they need to, like extra motivation. Um, I guess it's like, all right, and then Blake's Wolfman instincts tries to go at them, and Charlotte shoots him. Now, obviously, we could just keep in mind that silver bullets not necessarily a thing in this particular version of the Wolfman. So regular bullet was enough to kill him, or put him pretty much put him down. And
Hmm.
so they go down. They see him. He's bleeding out. He's pretty much dying. He's done for. Um,
Yeah.
and so they just kind of comfort him as he dies, pretty much. Um, pretty sad thing. What happens?
Hmm.
And the last thing we see is Charlotte and Ginger kind of walking across a field, and they look over the horizon with like foggy mountains and all that. Kind of like pretty much this again, full circle with
Yeah.
Blake and his dad seeing the same sight at the beginning of
Yeah.
the movie. And then the film ends. Roll credits.
Hmm.
And that's Wolfman 2025.
Good ending. It's, but I mean, these werewolves should like be out there all the time, right? Like it doesn't really matter if it's night. But- So
Yeah, it makes you wonder, like, are there other Wolfmen out there in this?
Yeah, because like we said, like there's only 3 established wolfmen in this movie that we see. Um, and actually, we never really know what happened to the first one. Like outside of just infecting his dad, like we don't
We
really
just have
know
to.
what happened to the other one.
I guess we're just supposed to assume that the dad like did catch up to him and kill him, but got infected himself before then.
Mhm.
I guess we just have to assume.
Yeah.
like
Um,
there's a movie that's also about people turning slowly into werewolves, and also about a bunch of them. It's called Howl. and it's basically werewolves on a train. It's also
Hmm.
about a
Mm.
werewolf that doesn't really look like a werewolf. It just looks like hairy people, kind of like in here. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I think that it's way
Well, I
better.
mean, yeah, I mean, how something like that, if it, since it's not based on a recognizable sort of iconic monster property, like,
Mm.
it has a lot more liberty to, since it's like its own original thing, it has a lot more liberty to kind of like do that pretty much. Whereas
Yeah.
like
I
with
think like Dr.
Wolfman,
Wolfia said something similar. Like it's not
yeah,
living up to the Wolfman name.
it mainly in terms of design and even some bits of like the thematics of like the point of the classic Wolfman story that also was retained in the 2010 version. Obviously slightly reinvented, but not by much, but not a whole, but not to the point where it's not that recognizable. But still recognizable for sure. Whereas here, it's kind of like, well, it's kind of vaguely Wolfman, maybe. I don't
Much
even.
to Wolfman, you could say 98 is Godzilla, and actually, I would say that 98 is more Godzilla than this is Wolfman.
Zim pretty much
I mean, I
said
would
that
agree.
98. Zim pretty much said that 98 Godzilla is more Godzilla than Invisible Man 2020 was Invisible Man. So in the
I
last
mean,
stream, so
yeah, well,
um,
but the theory also applies. Like it's just they took the name. Like that's all there is to it. There's nothing
yeah.
about the original here.
And here's the thing, here's the thing, like you could do the name that, like you could just do, you can it like it could be forgiven if the script was a lot tighter, pretty much if you had like a which like I pretty much still enjoyed this movie overall as like a creature feature horror thriller thing, that's kind of werewolf ish sort of thing. But yeah, I could see once again this could easily be like Invisible Man 2020 for me, where it's like I still like it, but man, there's like yeah, there's definitely and here's the thing, I wouldn't say like it's like horrible, like horribly written, but there's definitely like missed opportunities and there's parts of the writing that really could have been like they could have used a redraft to fix
Hmm.
up, like easy fixes even. Um, at least in this instance, I'm not sure about Invisible Man though, but in some parts, but still, um,
Yeah. Because like I said, I feel like this writing wise is like missing like a scene or two to really hammer home the themes or just to adjust certain like narrative setbacks just so that it's more coherent.
yeah,
Um and that's just on its own. Like any other thing I would change is mostly just the werewolf design again. Because like I said, I like this movie. I think it's pretty good for a creature feature flick. But if we're comparing it to like any Wolfman, um, analog or something, or just the originals, like I think it's missing a few things that would make it like put it up there with the others.
yeah.
In the end,
Yeah. There's like there's just like few too many instances of characters kind of making decisions that make me go, why would you do that?
Yeah.
As for that, if they if they pretty much made more intelligent decisions, would have altered the script significantly. But it's like, oh, we got to have our characters do a stupid horror cliche thing, because otherwise, the plot won't progress the way we want it to. So it's like,
Mm.
ah.
Did
yeah.
any of you guys watch, just to compare it? Did any of you guys watch Werewolves last year?
Oh, I wanted
No,
to, but
I have not.
it didn't come out in my country.
Oh.
No,
Well,
I
I watched
haven't.
Werewolves the other year. I would say it has a few narrative setbacks as well. But I would say I enjoyed that movie more than I like enjoyed watching this one. Um, just because I think the werewolf designs in that movie are really cool. like the premise is basically it's basically like a zombie apocalypse but with werewolves and stuff, and I thought that was really
A
cool.
little bit like this one, the plague. No, no, no. The purge. I've heard that they compare it to the purge. Because it's like once a night, a bunch of people go around killing, and everyone else like,
Yeah,
but with werewolves. Yeah.
yeah, I saw that
Hmm.
too. Like it's like a bit like the purge with werewolves, um, but it's more of like a zombie apocalypse in that sense, just because you have people turning into werewolves because of like I wouldn't say, I don't know what the word, like a sci-fi
The mega moon
reason.
or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the moonlight, like the moonlight at this certain time turns people into werewolves, and so they just have to like lock down everything, stay away from the moonlight. Um, which is really fun concept, and I think they executed it pretty well. Um, I think there's like a little more narrative flaws with that film than the Wolfman, but because of the concept and the way it plays around with it, I think I enjoyed it more than Wolfman here.
Huh.
The thing
Hmm.
is that the Wolfman is like a classic story, and then for werewolf, um, you have a lot of the times you have like this exact thing that we were mentioning, like you have a certain type of movie but with werewolves. So you have snakes on a
Yeah.
plane but with werewolves on a train with how you have aliens but you have werewolves with dog soldiers. You have stuff like that, but like the classic, that like some of the best stories that have become like a staple in werewolf genre are like American Werewolf in London, because like that's like introduce a lot of new stuff. It makes a lot of things from previous movies and previous mythology.
Mm.
The original Wolfman, and then Ginger Snaps, which also like that's like the best movie that does the transformation over time, and it turns it into a metaphor for like um, I don't know the word in English, but basically puberty. Okay, yeah, puberty. And this
Hmm.
movie, I feel like doesn't have a story that's good enough because it decided to go on the lazy route of Cabin in the Woods. Straight up, like they fucked it up. And Dog Soldiers does that thing, but again, that's the action. It's aliens with werewolves. It just so happens that it's like a siege movie, like you're standing your ground in the cabin and the werewolves are outside. It's like different.
Mm-hmm.
Here,
Yeah.
they didn't only limit their story, they limited their action sequences, as we were saying, like with the greenhouse. It was kind of lame. Like, there's nothing about this movie that's like super special. I think that if you went to the Outlook, or what was the word for this tall place where like the fire. What's the name of the last place they go to?
The last place that they go to is like that little um during the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
The last place that they go to. All right, so they start at the house, then they run into the greenhouse, run back to the house. Then Charlotte and Ginger, they go to the shed, basically the barn house or shed, and they try to go in there, and that's where you get the bear trap scene. And then they run out, and then they head back, and then they head to that little watchtower thing.
Watchtower.
Yeah,
Okay.
like the deer
So
stand.
yeah, I
I'm
think
sure
that
there's I think there might be a more. I think they called it something else in the movie. I'm not a hunter, so I don't really have terminology, so the proper terminology
They're
for it. But
called like deer blinds or hides or
deer
something.
blinds, yeah, deer blinds. There you go. That's the phrase. Yeah.
oh, okay, okay. Because when I thought it was like a lookout tower or a watchout tower. It's not one of those then, right?
I mean, it's kind of something like that. Like if you're using that to look out for deer to hunt, or if you're looking out for like something like I don't know, like a fucking wolf man. In this, I don't know,
Oh,
or
okay. Yeah.
bear. You know,
I think that maybe, for example, you could have gone to a lookout or a watchout tower, like one of the big ones, in the middle of the forest, and make like the last stand there with the mom and the daughter, for example, like. And because like you have all of this wooden structure, you could see the werewolf trying to climb out or climb
I
up.
mean,
It will
I
have
mean, they did kind of. I mean, they kind of were doing that here. It's just, I mean, were you kind of expecting saying that they could have tried a little more elaborate set piece with that, like maybe have it be a bigger set to allow for something more elaborate than what we got?
Yeah,
I
and
mean, because
also
I mean, the
yeah,
thing is, like, I mean, the film is produced by Blumhouse, so that it's like, I guess, like, they only had like a limited budget. Like, this film has like cost like 25 million, so they're not gonna. Blumhouse isn't gonna want like, which is pretty much more than you would expect Blumhouse to typically spend, or at least it's like on average. But it's so they're not gonna want to like spend a whole heck of a lot of money on this. They're going to want this thing to turn a profit, because Blumhouse is kind of known for that.
yeah, I
Um,
understand.
and,
But
and they're going to want to like have a lot of the budget kind of go towards like maybe like the convincing werewolf effects and makeup and what have you, um, among other things. So,
I
but
do understand that, and I'm not normally the one who goes like, well, then they shouldn't have done it. But the thing is, if you're not at least gonna try to make something unique, like I do really actually believe that in this case, a werewolf movie was like the worst possible thing. Like the movie is not really that violent for what I've seen. Um, the effects are not really that extreme, because they do that compromise where it's like, okay, we're gonna make it believable. He's gonna look okay, but it's not really
right.
a
I mean,
werewolf. It's just a hairy homeless dude.
I
So
mean,
like
I mean, there's
they
like, I
do,
mean, like some of the, I mean, we've kind of praised like some of the body horror stuff and like some bits of the transform and like the practical effects for the transformation, what have you. But it is kind of like, but yeah,
yeah,
like there isn't like that much. Like the movie effects wise and what it has going for it, like production value. It's like it's like it does fair. It's decent in that front, but it is just kind of like it is mainly because like they're going for so minimalist in terms of like the
Yeah.
Wolfman angle that it kind of that it kind of loses some of the point of making it a Wolfman movie. It's like if you have like when you have like a Wolfman that loses, like as we said, like looks like he lost more hair than gained it. like there's kind of something off. There's something off about that, if you
yeah,
will.
and that's what I mean. Like in the end, making these movies is should be a little bit of give and take. You cannot just minimize on every single thing because the thing is, even with the body horror, the normal werewolf movie will actually just like do this amount of body horror. Normally, they
Yeah,
do actually a little bit more. So they minimize on that. They minimize on the design. They minimize on the
yeah,
story.
Yeah.
They minimized way too much, and this movie actually
yeah,
doesn't have
yeah,
anything that makes it special.
yeah,
The only thing that they
yeah,
could
and like
actually do was the free stuff, the direction, the art direction, the photography, all of that. But that's all it has.
right. I mean, and this for yeah, and again, like we could go. I mean, we've kind of said it over. Said it like it's kind of it may not it's not it may not even be worth reiterating it at this point, but really really like the main thing is like the design, what have you, could have been could have been forgiven if like the writing was like top notch, and ultimately it's kind of undercooked in like some in like a good number of the parts where it shouldn't have been undercooked, really.
Mm.
um like no matter how much we can say we enjoyed it, like it's kind of just really it like there like they could have like there was stuff here that they could have done something cool with storytelling wise, but if they really like went all the way with it and really made it work, but it just like but yeah, it they just didn't do enough. So Like, I mean, I wouldn't call it completely shitting the bed, but like, I mean, that might be too strong a terminology, but they didn't. Yeah, it's I don't know. It could
Actually,
have been better.
a,
Say.
a theory that I just came up with is that maybe the reason why the dialogue and everything is so undercooked in the story itself is because they also try to minimize on the cost of versions, because normally you pay for a couple of versions, and then if you want to do more, you need to pay the writer again. Normally, like it's not always the same. So maybe that also happened here. Like they were like good enough. We're not gonna pay for another version. Like this is good enough. You can improvise something better on set, but that's kind of it. That could also technically happen.
Maybe. Yeah. All we could do is kind of speculate on that front at this point. All we could just say is that Wolfman 2025. I mean, I don't hate ya. I wouldn't even say I even dislike it all that much, but I mean, I just only kind of like ya, Wolfman 2025. Just kinda.
Yeah.
I see
I'd
it
say.
inspiring something better down the line. Honestly, like I do think that someone will see the potential and it will inspire someone to make something similar but better executed. So I don't regret
Yeah.
the fact that it exists. I think that the abuse, or well, not the abuse, like the themes that they tried to do, since they were so underdone, someone will actually try to take those and will actually execute on
It's like
them.
they were overdone. The thing is, they were like overdone in some parts, like at the start of the movie, but then but then it's like kind of, but then it kind of gets lost in the shuffle by the time you get to the Wolfman
Yeah,
metamorphosis.
it's like eating a
Throughout the film.
hamburger that's like frozen in the middle, but then it's burnt on the sides. Like
It should,
it's
yeah. It was like more like if it was more consistent, if it was like spread out, like it seemed like it seemed like they pretty much like overloaded it at the start, just so
yeah,
you'd be like, this is what the movie's going to be about, and then they just don't really elaborate on all that much for the rest of the movie, as opposed to like weaving it more organically with the rest of the story. Throughout it, like just kind of be like, okay, we're not being so obvious at the start, so that to where like so that by the end of the film, it's kind of like, like you almost kind of like, oh yeah, that's what the point of this movie was.
yeah,
And then they just try to have characters like exposit dialogue to each other, like spell things out for the audience, like we're children. Even by having an adult literally spell things out to a child, like in one scene, it's like jeez. Oh, what the heck?
I think his microphone might be pointing
Huh?
somewhere else. Did you say something?
No, I was just saying, like, yep, sounds about right.
Oh, I
Okay.
just kind of heard something in the background, Vic, on your end. Someone yelling.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it. As far as talking points here, I guess I'll just kind of get into the wrap up here for the stream. Thanks for coming on, guys. And thanks, Zim, for coming out for the cameo at the beginning. Pretty much.
No problem, boss. It was fun.
Yeah.
I love
like
talking
it.
about the Man movie.
About the man movies.
Hey, any
So,
idea for the 30th stream, like Dracula Untold?
well, not that one. I haven't. Yeah, I don't have
Dracula
access to it right now, so it will have to be. So it probably would have to be something else. Something. I have like a couple ideas, but who knows? Maybe an idea will suddenly just pop up, be like, "That's the 30th." But got a couple ideas. I won't give them away yet. Probably won't happen until February, even. I guess. But yeah. As far as what I got going on, I'm mainly trying to finish my Final Wars video. Kind of, hopefully, I'm gonna try to get that done by the end of January, by the end of this month. I mean, I'm getting close to being done with it, really. But yeah, there's that. Who else? So that's my shilling out the way. Who else got? Anyone here else here got some shilling that they want to do?
No.
Well, not
No.
really. Actually, like, yeah, I'm just working on the normal stuff. Last time that we went on Sim stream, I mentioned that that I came up with a show inspired Godzilla movie. Actually, I started
Mm-hmm.
writing today, and
Ooh.
I've been doing some like concept art myself, all that, and
Cool.
I probably will keep going for some time. Yeah, like I will try to write it like the whole thing. It's gonna be way easier writing a movie than writing the singular point redo that I was doing because that's way more complicated than I anticipated.
Mm-hmm. And then
Yeah.
for myself, I'm just gonna be working on some more YouTube stuff. I might be doing a stream tomorrow, a drawcast where I basically draw stuff live. Might be doing one, drawing some Godzilla or other kaiju monsters. And hopefully, I want to get around to doing a stream, focusing on Little Platoon's video on GXK and going more in depth about what I think he got wrong with his critiques there. So those are two big things that are going to be happening soon.
Probably you're trying to beat my live streams to the punch on that on covering Low Platoon's GSK video. I see.
Hmm.
I see. All right. All right. Well, that closes out. Have a good night, gentlemen and y'all. Yeah. See Monster Live signing out.
Bye.
Peace.